Hello and welcome to the You Are My Oxford Show, Season 2, Episode 20. And we have got an absolute banger of an episode for you.
We do indeed, Matt. We are going to reflect on the past 3 games, starting with yesterday's game at Southampton, a defeat, of course, the late drama against Charlton, and we're even going to reminisce about that win over Blackburn.
We are indeed. We'll cover other news, of course, as well, including our latest eye-watering financial figures.
And of course, Matt, there is a new shirt, which I thought you might actually be sporting today. We'll have a good chat about that as well.
I am very tempted, I must admit. And as you probably guessed, we're going to meet a player who played for us in the late 1990s to get his views on yesterday's game, his reflections on playing for Oxford when the club were in a desperate financial position.
Hard to imagine a situation like that, Matt. I'm going to set you a quiz again. You love a quiz.
Oh, okay.
Well, you were meant to set me a quiz, but you got drunk instead last night.
Oh, yeah,
so.
That's right. And our in-house stats expert, Theo, is going to join us, tell us about a really weird statistic from this season.
All brought to you, of course, by Nutmeg, the nostalgic football game, which is out on Thursday, the 26th of March. Matt, we had a play on it this week, and I have to say, a few viewers have been commenting, you look a bit like both Eddie Howe and Gary Caldwell. So how did you find, Matt, your first steps into football management on Nutmeg?
Really? Eddie Howe?
Yeah, really.
Wow. Yeah, loved it. Viewers, Dan and I took on managing the Oxford United team in 1991-92. I genuinely loved this. It was a baptism of fire, not going to lie. We had an absolute disaster of a start. And I think the impatience of the modern day fan, we'd have been out after a couple of weeks, Dan, wouldn't we? But we had to deal with no strikers, no money, a few unhappy players. And Dan, we were even rejected by John Narbert when we tried to sign him. But you'll get to see all this. A special episode will be coming out.
Yeah, it's quite a season, Matt. And obviously gave us a chance for lots of nostalgic chat. So it's not just a pure advert for Nutmeg. But you'll be able to watch it all, as Matt says, later on this week when we release a special episode on YouTube and on Facebook.
Yeah. And if you remember CFAX, if you remember fax machines, and also you want to see Gary Smart scoring a goal, it's just a game for you. So let's chat matters on the pitch then. And I guess, Dan, we need to start with Southampton. It didn't really work out from the get-go, did it? 2-0, fair result, really. Should we just start about the incredible turnout from the Oxford fans? So I wasn't there, you were there. Great support.
It really was. It's like walking into the ground and everyone was just in the concourse singing, and then you walked into the stadium itself and genuinely, we were stuck in the corner, but it was an amazing, amazing turnout. I think Jerome was saying it's like over 3,000 fans there. So incredible vocal support throughout as well. So it felt like a properly good away day. Shame the on-pitch things didn't quite work out so much. Matt, when I own the club, when I win the Euro Millions, which I'll probably need to pay off all the different debts we have at the moment, when I buy it, I'm going to write into the club's constitution, we can never, ever play 5-3-2. I hate 5-3-2.
It never works out, does it?
Never works out. Honestly, it was the flattest back five you've ever seen. The wing-backs were not pushing on. And Southampton carved through us after a couple of minutes, and then there was the wonder goal like 10 minutes later, and 13 minutes in, we're 2-0 down, and genuinely it looked like it was going to be a really, really, really long afternoon. Fair play to the players, they did dig in after that. If Lancashire had taken his chance maybe at 2-0, it might have been different. He did really well to win the ball, charged for own goal. He beat the keeper with it, and I was just expecting the net to bulge, and then, of course, you kind of watch it go inches wide. I was totally side onto it, so yeah, I didn't see how close it was or not. But what might have been, it did feel, though, Matt, a little bit like one of those 2-0s where if we had pulled a goal back, Southampton, I think, probably would have got a third quite easily. Yeah. I think they settled for 2-0. I'm grateful that they did, especially with Pompey getting absolutely stuffed yesterday as well. So Southampton, decent team. We weren't disgraced at all onwards and upwards. Matt, can I just say as well, one little thing? I was sitting opposite a few Oxford fans on the train back to London yesterday, and they started talking loudly about Oxford United podcasts. And I'm sad to say, Matt, they hadn't heard of ours. So I
What?
promised them a mention in return for them listening. But it's also reminded me, Matt, that we haven't fully cracked the market. So if you listeners know someone who doesn't listen to our podcast and would love to, do point them towards our audio or YouTube
Absolutely.
editions. Matt,
Shall we chat Charlton?
yeah,
Because, so close to win. It was a game I couldn't get to for one reason or another. But we got a penalty at last.
we did get a penalty at last. Honestly, if that was a penalty, I think we should have had 50 in the past 20 months.
It really wasn't a penalty, was it?
It was so soft. Honestly, Matt, we played really well for the first 70 minutes. Got the penalty, which was, I think, was lucky. And then, I hate to say it, we sat back, and I was talking about 5 in a line at Southampton. Genuinely, at times there were 9 in a line across the back against Charlton. Just invited so much pressure. We got away with it against Blackburn, but we didn't against Charlton, who had some big old boys up front. They were launching everything into the box. Silly foul by Kieran Brown. Honestly, it felt a bit like a punch to the gut, especially with all the other results that came in that day. Had chance to drag Charlton into the mix, failed.
Yeah, I think, a point, probably the fair result, but it did feel like 2 points dropped. It really did. And obviously that came off the back of a really good win against Blackburn. Of course, the build-up to the game totally overshadowed by the horrendous news of the death of 15-year-old youth team player Amelia Aplin, Dan.
Do you know what? I think in impossible circumstances, the club absolutely covered themselves in glory that week. They did everything so well. Peter Rhodes-Brown on the pitch. I just honestly, when he was talking, there were tears in my eyes. I thought the players were brilliant. I thought the fans of both sets, Blackburn and ours, were
100%.
absolutely impeccable. The minute silence couldn't have been any more silent. I'd like to mention the ref as well, who I love the way he stopped the game on 15 minutes for the applause. And the rest of the time, on a kind of professional ref basis, I thought is excellent. He really let the game flow. Few fans were whinging about some of the fouls he let go, but he let them go for both teams. And as a result, for the first 75 minutes, the game was absolutely flowing. We did then sit back.
Yes.
But we hold on that one.
Yeah, I sneaked in a Blackburn fan into the East Stand. He was obviously very disappointed, and at the end of it was basically saying we're down, speaking about themselves, Rovers. But he said Oxford look good, and he was like, picked out. He was like Stan Mills, heck of a player, and I thought, he is really looking like a genuine championship player and a real threat, and he's probably our biggest asset. Sam Long again keeps doing his thing, doesn't he? Fantastic. But overall, I finished that game. We were like, Oxford are going to stay up. The league table today doesn't look quite so good.
It doesn't look quite so good, Matt. I think we should move on to other news. And the debt that the club has announced this week. How are you feeling about it? As our financial expert.
Well, I have a feeling, Dan, you might want to kind of tell everyone and say, I told you so. And fair enough. It's not pretty, is it? Obviously, the headline was 17.5 million in debt. But honestly, with football numbers, I have no idea what that really means anymore. Is it a lot? Is it not? I honestly don't know. But it's when you dig into those numbers a bit more, some things really stand out. And I think also, let us not forget, this is up to June 2025, so doesn't include this season when we have been throwing money here, there and everywhere, right? So this is essentially, these figures, these is essentially laying bare what we've spent to essentially stave off relegation from the Championship last season. So Dan, just a few numbers. A 92% increase on player wages, 92%. But the one that really stuck out for me, our wages are 114% of our revenue.
It's terrifying.
That it was that figure that was like, because that just doesn't make sense on any level. I was, I think people have pointed the finger at Manchester United and other clubs when they're spending like 50% of revenue and all this. 114% of our revenue is on player wage. I just can't really compete that. Our wage bill, £21 million. Seems a lot, right? You've called it before, but this is clearly unsustainable. Now, Oxford, I think, put out a statement and they're quick to underline that we remain within the Football League's profit and sustainability rules, and that's because I think Championship clubs are not permitted to lose more than 39 million over a 3-year rolling period. Well, we're dicing a bit close to that. Surely we'll get close to that. Dan, you've asked the question before, and I will ask it again to you now, Dan. Where does this all end?
I honestly, Matt, I am extremely fearful. We are now wholly dependent on our owners maintaining interest in the club. We are totally unsustainable. I mean, you mentioned the £17 million debt. It's actually £58 million. It's like the club's overall debt. And that's before we start building the stadium, which is going to cost us a further £150 million.
Ouchie.
Yeah. I mean, listeners, we are putting fearful looking faces. Just imagine imagine two middle-aged blokes pulling fearful faces, because that is what we're doing right now. It's absolutely terrifying. I
One of
think
which
as
looks like
fans,
Eddie Howe, apparently.
yeah, Eddie Howe's looking really worried here. It's really, really utterly terrifying, and it's totally unsustainable. I think as fans, we have to do our bit as well, which is not to demand new players all the time and so on. We signed in the transfer window, I talked about it before, we signed quite a few players. Some of them aren't anywhere near the team at the moment. Ruskin?
No idea.
I'm not picking on him at all, but we have 3 left backs. One hasn't even been registered to play because Ruskin signed, and he's played 2 games. He actually played quite well in the 2 games that he did play. But that's it. But we would have paid a huge amount of money for him. And when you sign a player, you're not just taking on their wages, but there will be a signing on fee, there'll be agents' fees, there'll be health insurance, there'll be all of these things that are just costing us more and more and more money. And every player, I think, can add at least £500,000 to our wage bill.
Can we speak about something a bit lighter?
Let's go for it, Matt. Give me some good news.
Should we speak about football shirt?
Let's do it, Matt. You are our resident fashionista. I know that because when we worked together, you would often come in a bit of what I would describe as a pink T-shirt of description. Tell us, Matt, as our fashionista, what do you make of the new shirt?
Well, I loved it straight away, but I haven't yet got it in my hands and seen it. I wasn't at Southampton yesterday. I think a few people were wearing them. I could see a few on Instagram and all that kind of thing. So I've only seen off the static image and the moving video. It looks great. I love it.
I'm not surprised to hear that at all. I did actually see a surprising number in the wild yesterday. And also, Matt, as you know, I'm a very youthful TikToker. I've seen a lot of fans on TikTok from other clubs absolutely loving it. A few of our fans, Matt, were less convinced, with a couple of fans describing it on the forum as utter woke rubbish. Is it, Matt, the floral design? Is that woke? Or is it the magnolia colour scheme? Is that woke? Or is it the fact that it mentions a museum? Matt, what would make a shirt woke, please?
I suppose it must be having a flower on there. It must be the floral design, right? Is it the first football shirt? Well, actually, 2 questions. Is it the first football shirt that's ever had a flower motif on it? Maybe. But secondly, will the team ever actually wear this?
Millwall away. Can you see us falling out on Millwall away?
It's going to happen.
I have to say though, Matt, with the club close to 60 million debt and about to take on a further 150 million, I think we can sell a few more woke shirts. It's probably not a bad thing.
Next season, we're going to bring out like 7 shirts just to try and sell some more and make some more profit. Yeah.
Okay, Matt, quiz time. You look brutally hungover, so I think this may not be the most successful quiz we've ever done. But Matt, we did a quiz in the last episode. It went down very well with the listeners. I'm going to give you, Matt, statistics for players from each of the following seasons, as I did in the last episode: 76, 86, 96, 2006, and 2016. Matt, I have to stress this is stats for the season and not overall. I want you to tell me from the statistics alone and a few other clues who that player is. And I'm going to do it in true Henry Kelly style, if you remember. Younger listeners,
Younger listeners, you won't remember Henry Kelly.
Okay, Matt, 1975, 1976. I'm a local lad. I turned 20 this season. I played 30 games, 6 as a substitute, scoring 6 goals in the 1975-76.
So difficult. I'm going to have to go to my...
Give me the answers at the end, of course.
Four or five players I know from the 70s.
I think you might get that one.
Yeah.
1985-86. Born in Aberdeen, I played 17 times this season, plus once as a sub, scoring 3 goals, although one of the goals was particularly significant.
Oh, okay. Aberdeen, though. Oh. I've got a good guess for that. All right.
1995-96. Born in Northampton, I played 16 times, plus 5 as a sub, scoring a very healthy 9 goals.
Oh, I think I know this one.
2005-2006, the dreadful relegation from the Football League season. Born in Cowes, and I presume that's the place, not the animal, I played 23 games, plus 6 as a sub, although my final appearance for the club was on the 7th of January 2006. I scored 5 goals that season.
Which is quite a good return for that season. I presume a striker.
Finally, 2015-16. I was born in Wolverhampton. I played 32 games plus 3 as a substitute, scoring 4 goals. I'll give the answers, Matt, at the end of the show. Okay, we love to chat to players of the past, so when a message popped up in my Facebook DM saying, "Can I come on the show?" how could I possibly refuse?
Especially when the player in question was well known for his time with Southampton, whom, of course, we played yesterday. Welcome to the podcast, Nicky Banger. Fantastic to have you join us. First things first, what did you make of the game yesterday?
I wasn't at it. I looked at the highlights. I think Oxford caught Southampton on a good day. They're very much on the front foot for the last 6 or 7 games since they changed their shape. To be honest, I thought Saints would win, but then again, when I went away, I thought Saints were going to be too strong for Oxford away, and Oxford were absolutely superb.
Who were you supporting yesterday, Nicky? Can I ask that?
To be fair, I don't think Saints, it would be good for them to get promoted. I know that sounds awful, but I don't think the infrastructure's there to go back into the Prem this quick. I think getting into the playoffs and doing well, I think there's better teams, I think, to go up this year. I don't think for the club it would be good. So really, to be honest, I was split, but if I was going to put my cards on, I'd really want Oxford to stay up.
You are always welcome on our show with that kind of sentiment, Nicky.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the summer of 97 and you joining Oxford United. Tell us about, how did it come about?
Well, actually, if I went back 3 months before that, I was playing in the Coca-Cola Cup for Oldham, and I was up front with Stuart Barlow, and I did have a good game. I came man of the match, and then an old friend of mine, left back, who used to play for Man City, Neil Poynton, phoned me up and said what was I doing at the end of the year, and made a decision to leave Oldham. I'd been there, done it, and he said Jim Jeffries, Hearts manager, wants to sign you. So I walked away from Oldham and flew up to Hearts, and not agreed contract, but was offered a significant amount of money and package to go up there for 3/4 years. So as far as I was concerned, I was going to sign it. And then after I did my pre-season there, I don't know how it came about, but they said, "Look, would you just come up and have a week's training?" So I went up to Oxford, met the lads, had a good session, and then he went really, really well. And he wanted to sign me, and if I was money motivated then, then there was no brainer why I wouldn't have gone to Hearts. But there was part of me that I was saying that year, it was when Kincladze was at Man City, Ravanelli was at Middlesbrough. There was a good squad, with Percy at the back, the keeper, Robbo, Joey and other things, and being back in England, being back down, I could live at home. There felt like it was the right fit for me then at that young age still to stay in the Championship.
When you joined, I think Dennis Smith was manager, of course, and then he left. Malcolm Shotton came in. He had that incredible impact in that first season, but stories have kind of transpired about his kind of hardline methods. What can you remember of him, and what can you tell us about those moments?
But Dennis was obviously a bit socially awkward. He was quirky with his number two, and I was saying before it was an interesting marriage of them two together, because I remember one game, I mentioned it before, that he came in and had a run. I can't remember what game it was, for about a good 6-7 minutes, and then Crosser said to him, "Just to let you know, Nads, whatever the manager said to you, I completely disagree, and I think the opposite of what you said." And then them two started having an argument, and then I think it was Nigel Jemson said, "We're going to go out now. Is there anything you want to say?" So we just got up and walked out. I mean, he was very old school. He was very, if I said about my time with him at the start, I'm not sure where he wanted me to play. So I played up front, but he didn't really, I don't think he really knew where he wanted to go with me, Gemmo, Joey, and that dynamic. So it was a bit confusing for me personally where he wanted to play me, or what I don't think he really knew where he wanted to play me anyway. So I think it was good for him to go. I think, if I'm honest, Malcolm come in. He was very, very, very old school. Train as you play, that sort of thing. I wouldn't say he was a very tactical manager. He was just very much get him endeavour, and I think he had a clear dynamic where he wanted me to play and stuff like that. I did have a bit of a ding dong with him once, actually.
Wow.
He came into pre-season. He came into pre-season, and I think me and Robbo had just tweaked a groin or a hammy in pre-season. He wanted to take the lads away the following week. So he literally walked in, saw John Clinkard and said, "See these lads here, from now on until they're fit, I want them in at 7:30 in the morning, and they can go home at 6 o'clock at night." And there was no prior warning. We didn't train bad or anything. So anyway, me being a challenging individual, I went up afterwards and knocked on his door. I said, "Gaffer, can I have a word?" And I won't swear on your podcast, but I said, "What the bleep bleep bleep? What's all this about?" So he went to me, "Who are you talking to?" So, and I went, "Well, unless there's somebody else in the room, it's you." And he stood up, and he wanted to have a fight. So I obviously, not that I had any chance of winning, stood up because you had to. And then what's his name? The number 2 came in. Mark Harrison. "Oh, calm down, stop it, what's going on?" I said, "Oh, he's a bleepy bleep bleep bleepy bleep bleep bleep," and I just walked out. And I just thought, do you know what? I need to resolve this, because what I did want to keep driving up, to be honest. So I went in and just said, "Can I have a chat?" and apologise, Gaffer. And I said, "Look, my sentiments are still the same. You were out of order." I said, "However, maybe I shouldn't have talked to you the way I did, but..." And he just went, "Do you know what? You've got bollocks. I like that." And then I think I started the next 20, 30 games after that. And,
there you go.
And that was the changing point of Malcolm, really. It sort of went, from, you know, just as I would with anybody. I think he was a hothead, but also he was fair in the sense of if you train hard, play hard, that's what you get. I don't think he was a tactical manager. He was very much about there's my system, endeavour, work rate, etc., etc.
That season, we had a remarkable recovery after Malcolm came in. We went from being like absolutely stonewall on for relegation to finishing pretty much just outside the playoffs. It was, and
Yes.
Joey Beecham was a massive part of that. You know, we always ask about Joey Beecham with kind of former players. Tell us how good you thought he was.
Oh, Joey was outstanding. I mean, I loved it when me and him both like taking people on. I mean, now you don't really see that too much, but I always liked it where me and him would flip from wing to wing. So sometimes, because I was a right-footed, but I could play left foot, I would play on the left, he'd play on the right. But he had natural ability, very likable person, great ability. But I think he was destined to be at Oxford because he loved it. I think Joey outside of football was quite socially quiet. So I think him going to another club mentally probably wouldn't have been good for him. But when he was at the club, he knew that he was loved and he was respected. And I think the reason why Oxford got the best out of everything that he did was because he felt the love and the community. And I think he knew he had that responsibility to perform because he was so adored, and he grew the more that he was loved. He just became a wonderful, wonderful human being and a person and an exceptional footballer.
Can we ask you about another player who you played with at that time, a certain Nigel Jemson? Now, here's a question for you. Was he an absolute genius or an absolute arse or a bit of both?
When I went there, he was so big time from from when he came from Forest or this. He was overweight, had his little Deodora training shoes on and all that lot. and he didn't, when I first started up front, I think he looked at me as a threat. And he was one of these players that unless everything went through him, I think he always played for himself. I never felt he was a team player. He'd like, if Oxford lose but I score, then that's okay. I never got that feeling that he was so arrogant. But, you know, he would be a very, very poor man's Matt Le Tissier. But he was really, like I said, very difficult to play off because he just wanted everything to evolve around him. And I think under the previous manager, he sort of accepted that. But as a player's player, he was awful. He was absolutely awful to play with and be with. And I think it was, I didn't like him. I didn't speak to him much. Didn't talk to him too much. If I could get near and he was on my side, I'd tackle him and leave a few late ones. He just wasn't a nice person.
One person Gemmo definitely didn't get on with was Paul Moody, someone who I didn't realise you played with quite a lot when you were at Southampton together.
When I speak to him on social privately, I always say he's the best striker I've ever played with. If I could go back in my career and played with Paul Moody, like I did at Southampton in the reserves, me and him were scoring like 30, 40 goals a year together. But we worked very, very hard together in training to dissecting it down. Which way did he prefer to knock down the headers? And I used to know when he was going to go on his little run and go on a mazy. And I knew there'd be deflections. I knew where he'd flick it on. But we didn't have a jealousy. We just had a mutual, if I could give the ball to him, I would. Or if I just need to square it, I would. And he'd do the same for me. And he was the best striker I've ever played with.
You played up through the youth ranks?
Yeah. I was at Saints since 12.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I made my pro at 19, I think he was bought from Waterlooville in a little bit after that. So I got in the first team a bit before him, and then he had a few games here and there. But Saints then were on a different level with Byron, Kerry Dixon, David Speedy, and lots of different players. Yeah. So me and Moose built a relationship in the reserves. And I often thought, why didn't we get sold as a pair? Because we had that sort of, I just knew what he'd do. It was like a weirdness.
Love that insight. Let's go back to your time at Oxford, and kind of especially across the 2 years, but especially that kind of second season, the club was so close to absolute financial meltdown.
Yeah.
What was it like at the time being a player at Oxford? And were you guys speaking about it in the dressing room? How did that uncertainty kind of affect you?
I don't think we didn't get to the situation where we didn't get paid or anything, but did it add pressure? Yeah, but that's how people deal with pressure. I think everybody knew that they needed to sell players. I don't think they ever let us know as bad as it was. But Dino coming in was obviously, as soon as you come in, was constantly when we're going to sell him,
Yeah.
But he was magnificent to play with. Very, very brilliant, outstanding, absolute crazy man. Me and Phil Whelan once went round his house after training, and we sat in the front room, and he said, "You want a cup of tea?" And then his son, who plays now, comes in and does like a 2-footed tackle over a teddy on the carpet. Just like, honestly, a proper 2-foot. And then he runs back out. So I'm looking at Phil, and I'm going, "What the going on here?" Comes in and does another 2-footed challenge on this teddy. So D-Walk said, he went, that's my boy. That's my boy.
Yeah.
He said he's getting a bit told off at school lately. He said because he keeps 2-footing the kids in the playground on the... I'm like, "Do you what?" I said, "You're joking." He went, "Nah," he said, "I'll just tell him he's a good lad." But now look at him, he's a flipping good... But yeah,
Great.
it was good. We had, I must admit, we had good, apart from Gemmo, we had some really good, tight lads. A few of the older pros, had their quirky ways, but the majority of the squad, we had some good young Cowley and different people that are coming to the squad because we had to. There was no monetary side there, but yeah, it was a wonderful club to play for.
In the middle of that financial crisis, we obviously drew Moneybags Chelsea in the FA Cup, and the whole build-up to that game was like the rich against the poor and so on. The match was live on Sky. I reckon probably the last great game at the Manor Ground. What do you remember, Nicky, of the build-up to that game and the game itself?
We were actually on a good run. Like, as a team-wise, we were actually on a good run. And I remember Malcolm saying, "Look, you can create your own history now. At the end of the day, it's the FA Cup, forget the money for the club and all that. Like, obviously, it's important. But, just don't let yourselves down as individuals. Don't be proud and work hard and stay together." And I remember that game really clearly. We were so combative and so positive, and obviously with us scoring. But I think if you were looking at that game as a neutral, we were so far the better team. So far the better team. It was incredible. And then I know I came off, but I don't know why I came off for, because we were 1-0 up with about 10 minutes to go, and I didn't understand from a personal perspective why I needed to change, and I didn't really understand why I needed to put Kevin on. And I'm not saying it was his fault. That their argument says, I know Kev's so 100%. He'd never dive in the million of words. Do you look at it and it looks a bit awkward as a challenge? Yeah, I think the ref shit himself personally and had a bit of a nightmare. So, from a perspective, the club done itself so proud, and the fans and players. I mean, I thought we were all outstanding on that game. I think just you look at Di Matteo and all the different players, Zola. All the players were there.
How was Big Kev after the game?
I think he was distraught, actually, from memory. He just said, "Look, I'm sorry, lads." He said, I swear to you, I don't. It wasn't a penalty." And I think everyone got round him. I don't think anybody ever said anything negative. He said, "Kev, fucking forget about it, mate. The ref bottled it." And I do believe the ref bottled it. I think the ref crumbled, and I do think. I guess I don't know whether on the revenue side, whether Oxford did better because we had to go back to Stamford Bridge and get the money. I don't know, but I suppose in a scenario, I don't know. I was disappointed because I think we went through and we should have gone through. Me personally, I would have preferred us going through than having the money in the replay, because I just thought we were outstanding.
Totally agree. It really pissed me off because all the pundits afterwards were saying, well, actually, it's a brilliant result for Oxford because they'll get the money in the
Yeah,
replay.
that's
And I
minging
was like,
though.
no, honestly, I wanted to beat Chelsea. I wanted to beat Chelsea so badly.
Well,
And we were that.
if you looked at Malcolm Shotton, if you looked at the footage after the game, all the Chelsea, I think Ravanelli and all that come up to him and basically said, look, that wasn't a pen. You're so, this is just not right, you know. And I think we all felt that. I mean, we did feel deflated. I must admit, it's the worst time I've been in a dressing room where you just feel like, yeah, you know, that's just complete bad, not good luck. That's just horrible. Because I
Can we
think
talk
we
about
all
the
really
replay? Nicky, can we talk about the replay?
Yes, you can.
Go on.
So,
How was it for you, Nick?
yeah, it was horrendous. I actually flukily went on YouTube about a month ago and heard the commentary, got absolutely slated. But actually, I went into it feeling really good. And then I remember, who's the lad that we signed? The blonde-haired midfield player. What was his name?
Paul Tate? Was it
Paul
Paul Tate?
So
Yeah.
Tatey, I remember Tatey on the halfway line and giving it to me on the right wing. And then he sort of went down the right wing. So all I had to do is just give him the ball. And then I decided to go on a Maisie. So I ran into the box and then I had about 157 minds what to do with it and didn't do any of them. And then it's really awful. Let me tell you, the worst thing that can happen is you lose the ball and then you watch it go pass, goal. And then everybody looks at you and you ain't got nowhere to hide, honestly. I was like, so second half, you know, it was all put behind me, stuff like that. So we have a corner against, and then keeper throws it out to me. And as I look behind me, I could see his little Robbo there, and then the lad shut me off. So as I passed it back, Robbo's not there. And then he just picks it up and bends it in the top corner. I mean, it was a worldy goal. And then I was thinking, oh, God, this is the worst day of my life. And then I got subbed. And then you think that was worse. And then I got in the dressing room afterwards and it was horrendous. The lads were really quiet. We had to go to a London hotel to have dinner. Nobody wanted to eat. And I wish somebody would have said, Nick, what the fuck are you doing? You had that. So, well, yeah. But they didn't. Nobody said anything, which made me feel even worse. And then I looked at my phone and all my mates were going, you are forever. But to be fair, I did start the next game and everything was all right after it. But it was just after the high of being at home and then the down of that, it was horrendous. The worst thing of my life, I think. I don't think I've had a moment like that in my life. Where
You can always trust your mates, can't you? Too, where properly rub you in it. You mentioned Dean Windass, and what a fantastic player he was. But you also alluded to the fact that from the moment he joined, it was like, well, when's he going to leave? Who's going to come in and buy him? How much of a blow was it when Oxford sold him?
Oh, horrendous, because he was a leader. He was like a proper football player. I'll give you an example. We'd have a throw on the left wing, and he had like the Alan Shearer, Matt Letizia, give it to me, and then I'd be on the right wing, and he'd be saying to me, Nicky, push on, because he had the confidence to chest it and volley it across the pitch. But he wasn't an arse. He wasn't a Jemson. He was very humble, great lad to be around, proper player, talented, respected, immense talent. Was he a lunatic? Yeah, but loved him for being that. You know, and I want to say this to him. I spoke to him about a month ago with his dementia things that he's suffering. And we offered him, he was on his way back down to Bournemouth. And I said, Dino, it was a pleasure playing with you, mate. He said, shut up. You did all my running for me. But he was just, a huge talent and, absolute joy to play with him. But losing him, you just can't replace he could hold the ball up, he could ping it in the top corner, he could do the easy part, he'd get stuck in. He was a complete striker.
So good, and lovely to hear that, a humble man as well. Let's speak about a few more of your highlights in a yellow shirt, and of course you scored a brace at Pompey.
Yes,
You must have enjoyed that.
I did very much. It's actually haunted me a little bit since then. But so leading up to that game, I wasn't playing. I don't know why I was out of favour. I might have been out of injury. I can't remember. And this is only I've only ever done this once. So I said, Dad, do you want to come up and watch the game? No, he said, are you going, what's happening? Are you playing tomorrow? I said, nah, I'm not in the squad, Dad. I'll just sat out there, Billy, no, mate, you sit in the stand. I said, but I'll go because it's Saints, all that lot, and Pompey would have beat them. So I took him out for a beer, my dad, and I got quite drunk, to be completely honest. I've never done it ever, but I just thought I wasn't going to play. So I rock up at the dressing room, and I believe my name said that I was starting, and I actually didn't remember it. So I went in the toilet, and one of the players tapped me on the bum and said, come on, Nick, let's get off to a good start, back in the team. I said, what are you about? And I said, am I sub? He went, no, you're starting. And I was thinking, bloody hell. So I get in the sink, splash loads of water on myself out, and run around. I'm thinking, I feel horrendous. And then Malcolm Shotton plays me left wing back. Right. And I remember the first 10, 15 minutes, their centre half just used to get it out and ping it over my head on the diagonal. And I just kept like running back. And I remember me and Robbo, and I was thinking, is Robbo going to take him, whatever? It was just a bit of, and I could hear Malcolm Shotton just, honestly, mate, abusing me so much. So in the end, being a bit more experienced, you can either sit there and take his abuse, or I decided, if he's going to shout, I'm just going to run over the other side of the pitch. So I did. So I just said, swap over. So I run off on the right wing. So I thought if he shouts at me, I've got to hear him. So, and then when you see that goal that I hit it in the top corner, because I went over to the right, you'll notice it was on the right hand side, and I ended up being over there, and it went into the 18-yard box, and then I hit it and it went in off the top of the bar and went in. So then my over the top celebration was purely, goes back many years, because when I was about 15, 16, 17, I played at Fratton Park, you'd have kids like throwing stones at you and abusing you and using language you wouldn't let your 12-year-old say. So I just went Southampton and kissed the badge of Oxford as well and give it the and they all started coming down. They all started coming down. It's all the lads. But if you saw my face, I was like, the alcohol was coming out of me, but also at the same time, I was extremely excited. And then, and also people forget that's Alan Ball sold me. So that was the first game back. And I sort of wanted to do well because, like you do when you manage yourself, you shouldn't have sold it. And I don't think he wanted to back in the day. I think it was more Laurie anyway. But anyway, so we go in, and then part of me was thinking, I could do with this being a draw. Because then I score in the second half. And then if you saw my muted, I sort of went, looked back. And then after the dressing room, I wasn't allowed out. I had to stay in the room for an hour. The police come in and said, you can't go out.
Really?
Yeah, you're not allowed out because
they're worried you're going to get
they really want to beat you up. So roll on, I don't know, 15 years. Me, Matt Lettiz and a few players were asked to do a Q&A in Portsmouth. And most of the time, you're just going to sit there, Billy no mates, because everyone wants to talk to Tiz. And this guy, he was a skinhead. He had tattoos on his head, about a bit smaller than Kevin Francis, but mate, he was proper big. And he just says, I just want to ask one question. Nicky Banger, do you think it's blah, 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 blah funny to give it the large one in front of the Fratton end? So I went, let me just explain. I was a bit stressed because of not being in the squad. Had a couple of beers. He wouldn't let it go. He literally stood up, and all the lads had gone, you are so dead. We're not supporting you. We're going over there. And he was massive. And he wanted to beat, I swear he wanted to beat me up on that night. He had to get taken out. He had to get taken out this little community hall. So I don't go back to
Even
Portsmouth
20
much.
years later.
Yeah, swear to God, remembered it the minute, the lot. So I just said to him, you know, I was quite pleasantly pleased that we actually drew the game for my health.
I've got one last memory of you, and it was towards the end of that season, and you suddenly went on this run of taking incredible free kicks. It was like this hidden talent that you'd had for like, you know, the previous season and a half. You started taking the free kicks. There's one game against Bury. I seem to remember you hit the bar 3 times with free kicks.
Yeah, I started
And then you
taking.
scored one against Sheffield United as
Yeah, I
well.
started taking set pieces a lot because all the free kicks that came out, I used to be able to naturally just whip it in. It's just I couldn't tell you I did it. It just naturally felt all right to do that. So suddenly all set pieces that were on the left, I'd bend them in far post. So I took all free kicks and stuff. But that significance of that Sheffield United again was the fact that we went on the front foot rather than playing this defensive system. And I remember just watching free kicks before that, where everyone would used to jump up in the wall. So I decided not to do that. I mean, it could have not come off, to be completely honest, but you know, so that's where I decided to hit it sort of low and hard, anticipating that the wall might jump. And that's why we scored. But the significance of the celebration from all the players really was relief. Because you know, going to Sheffield United in the not so good weather is a tough old place to go to. So yeah, so that's how that came about. So I generally took all the set pieces. Joey would take all the pens and stuff, but that was it really.
Nicky, we're sponsored by Nutmeg, which is a nostalgic football management game. If you were managing a team, Nicky,
Yes,
and you could sign any player from the 80s or 90s that you've played with, who would you sign?
Rodney Wallace.
Ooh. Tell us why.
He was my hero growing up. He was the most complete footballer that I'd played with. I mean, I grew up with Shearer as well. But Shearer was very strong. He was like a man's body and a young man, and his finishing was all about power. His left foot wasn't really good at the time, but you know what he's gone on to amass is outstanding as a striker. He was very combative, but I was motivated by people like Peter Beardsley and, you know, people that had the ability to entertain. And Rodney, honestly, you could not get near him. He was like Ryan Giggs' pace, but ripped and strong and literally just mug you off. But he had everything. He had pace. He was quick. He was just everything I wanted to be. And I just was in awe of him as a player.
Nicky, I believe you're working for a charity now, and you've got something that might be of interest to Oxford United fans. Why don't you tell us about that? So
I come out of football, actually. When I gave up football, I retired at 31. I don't know if you know that. I had 2 epidurals on my spine. I had sciatica, and I played for Plymouth on a 3-month and gave it all up. So it was very difficult for me mentally to transition out of sport because of... you sort of lose your structure, but I wasn't obsessed about staying in football, if I'm honest. I'm not one of them football players that has to stay in it because that's what they know, or they're too scared to come out of it and try something else. I have to be passionate to be successful about something. And I found it really tough bringing up my daughter, who's got cerebral palsy. So she was born 2 pounds 3 ounces.
Wow.
And you know, that was a tough pill to swallow. Then when she was 7, she had to have her hips broken, reset, her hamstrings lengthened, groins lengthened. We had to raise £90,000 for her to go to America to have this operation. And that whole dynamic around marriage, my son, I probably ghosted a bit because all my energy was in Sophia. And it was really tough, really I found it really tough. Right. Trying to juggle all the balls to make everybody happy. So what I decided to do, the reason why it's called the Knights Foundation is my boss, Tony, is an ex-para commando and Sanders instructor, and he used to sponsor the clubs that I was at from a security perspective. He wanted to employ me, but obviously I didn't want to do security or anything. So he said, look, I've set up a charity called the Knights Foundation for people that are in Iraq that have come home and they're not too sure where they're going. Got divorced, wives kicked them out, and they became homeless. So I said, if we could do something different and look after kids with special needs, from diagnosis to helping them get jobs, then I'm in. I'd like to do it. So we bought a lodge in COVID for 300,000. So we've given up to 235 free holidays now, which accessible holidays, because they are mega expensive if you have a disabled child to go on holiday than it is if you've just got a family with no disability going on. It's so much cheaper. So we've taken kids water skiing, flying lessons. We've helped kids work out their CVs. We've also got mock-up interviews for children with special needs, so they can know what it's like to feel pressure of an interview. So yes, I've been working on that for 10 years now. So there was a lovely, kind gentleman that was the main sponsor of this Oxford v Saints, and he gave me this shirt, which was this year's, and we're looking to buy a piece of equipment around 400 quid for a young person this year that may need a walking frame or something. So this will actually go to a family. So he gave me it, and I said, look, if there's anybody from Oxford that's got additional needs or needs a holiday or needs some equipment, if somebody wants to make a bid on that and they know somebody that needs help, then link them to me and I'll help them out. So it's a way that football can give back, for people from Oxford, can give back to people in Oxford, because we'll all know someone who may have ADHD, who may have come off his motorbike, or somebody that needs help. And I generally, honestly, I'm not being all humble. I'm thinking now, I generally love what I do.
Sounds like you're doing incredible work. And for audio listeners, what Nicky was holding up there was a signed shirt from this season's Oxford United team in the game against Southampton. Nicky, we'll also put a link to your Knights Foundation in the bio for this as well. So if anyone wants to have a look at the website.
And also, one more thing I'd like to say, I've got a couple of shirts that are original shirts that I wore. I'm happy if somebody wants to make a bid to help somebody else. I can't give them all back, but I'll sign it and they can have a proper shirt that was worn by, it could have been number 7, probably I'm not sure what Joey was, but I played 7, but sometimes Joey played 7. I can't remember how many people played 7, but back in the day when the materials weren't so good, it was one of those shirts. So I think it's 7. I've got my shirt here, which I'll be killed if I don't give it to my son. So I've given so much stuff away. I played against Roberto Baggio once against Juventus, and I gave him a shirt away.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
well,
won't be doing that again.
Nicky, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest. We've absolutely loved having you on. Before you go, do you think you've got time to play a quick game with us?
We'll go on then.
Okay, right. It's a very simple game of higher or lower. I'm going to give you a statistic about the 1997-98 season, and you need to tell me if you think the answer is higher or lower. You can both draw the arrow on a piece of paper, and if you think it's higher, you show me the arrow pointing upwards, and if you think it's lower, you show it to me pointing downwards. If you get it wrong and the other person gets it right, you lose.
Got it. Jeez, pressure.
Lots of pressure. All right. I'm going to start then. In the 1997-98 season, Nigel Jemson scored 10 goals. How many did Darren Purse score that season? Was it higher or lower than 10? Can you show me your answers, please?
Lower.
Matt, lower as well?
Lower. Yeah,
Lower.
easy.
The correct answer is lower. He scored 6 goals. How many goals did Nicky Banger score that season? Was it higher or lower than 6?
Oh, I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go higher. Nicky?
Matt? Nicky has gone lower. Nicky Banger is correct. Nicky, how many goals did you score that season?
3 or 4? I think 3, 4.
4. He scored 4 goals that season. Nicky, you have won the game. Because of this, if it's okay with you, we would like to call this game the Nicky Banger game. More, if that's okay.
Coach come.
Love that. We've got a new game. We have the John Narvik game. We've now got the Nicky Banger game. This is fantastic.
Yeah. God, it's because Percy had a good run, didn't he?
How
He
many
had
did you
he had a few. I remember from corners. I mean, he was a tough player, Percy.
have?
He was a really, really tough defender. Very, very aggressive player. Robbo was really difficult to play about, by the way. Robbo was hard to beat.
Yeah, we love Robbo.
Robbo was a
He's a
tough
friend
player.
of the podcast as well.
He's a friend of the podcast.
Nicky, it has
Lovely
been
man.
truly, truly wonderful having you on. We've really enjoyed your stories.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Matt.
I could have
Thank
spoken
you.
to you for much longer, but we have to keep them. We have to keep these podcasts a reasonable length.
No
But
worries.
honestly, it's been a whole heap of fun. Your legacy will live on at Oxford United in the guise of the Nicky Banger game. So
Thank you very much, guys.
okay, Theo's joining us now from his Stats Kitchen. Theo, there's been a lot of talk about how few goals have been scored at the East Stand end this season, which is the end we tend to shoot towards in the second half. Is this true? And when are we scoring our goals?
Yes, there's certainly some truth in it under Bloomfield, as we've only scored one goal in the second half at home, and that was Bradigan's penalty the other week. In fact, we've only scored 4 second half goals under Bloomfield in total, 2 against Preston, the one against Leicester and Charlton. So that's 11 of Bloomfield's 14 games with no second half goals. Hard really to point much of a finger at anyone, I think. Like, the game state obviously dictates a lot of what second halves looks like, and we've been defending either because it's 0-0 and the other team are really good, or because that's how Bloomfield has decided to see out the game, i.e. Blackburn and Charlton after we scored. Also, like, interestingly, in terms of XG, that the first and second halves aren't that different. We don't create very many high quality chances, and I think at the moment the ones that are going in just happen to be more in the first half than in the second half.
Interesting stats indeed. Is that true for the rest of the season though? It doesn't feel like things have changed too much to me.
It's actually remarkable how similar the ratio of first half to second half goals is when you compare Rowett's tenure to Bloomfield. I found a great website called soccerstats.com, which has given me the league table by just looking at the first half and then another league table for the second half, assuming it started 0-0 again at half time. In the first half, we are a lofty 18th with 10 wins and 15 draws, which give us 45 points, a full 7 clear of Charlton, who occupy the third relegation spot. And we've scored 24 goals to get those 45 points. In the second half, it is 4 second half wins all season, 22 draws, just 34 points. We'd be long since relegated, looking at just the second half of our games. We've only scored 12 second half goals all season. That's the same as Sheffield Wednesday. The next lowest is Blackburn on 18, and then every other team in the league has 22 second half goals or more. So we're 10 lower than the teams around us, and more so in the teams slightly higher up the league, obviously. We've not conceded many goals in the second half either. And in fact, if you look at our games over the course of the whole season, both our goals plus the opposition goals in the second half, it's less than 1 a game. It's about 0.85 goals per second half from either team. Not much is going on in what should be the exciting part of the game.
Any other interesting trends to touch on in recent weeks?
Just a bit of an update on all those attacking stats that we went through a few weeks ago, where we were 23rd with only Sheffield Wednesday below us on a whole range of things. And we said if we're going to stay up this season, those stats need to improve. And actually there are a couple which have improved. Our shots on target per match, we're still 22nd, but we've gone above Blackburn. Possession won in the final third, we've gone above Derby to 22nd. XG, we're out of the relegation zone, 21st. And touches in the opposition box as well, we've gone to third, the lofty heights of third bottom. So it does feel like Bloomfield has, as obviously points show that we've had a much better return recently, but it's the underlying numbers seem to be improving as well.
So we just need the Football League to change the rules to XG goals and end the season right now.
And only do 45 minutes of football. Don't do the second half.
Matt, I had a little holy grail moment this week when I found the footage of a really significant game from our past that honestly I had long given up ever finding.
Love a holy grail moment. Dan, I saw this on our YouTube. What I find. Tell our listeners and our viewers what it is.
Yeah, it's our last ever game in the top division, and it kind of sums up our season. It was a riotous 5-3 defeat to Nottingham Forest, statuesque defending, but occasional moments of brilliance from the likes of Foyle, Hebbard, Peter Rose-Brown. I'll put a couple of goals in the edit now, but do take a look at these slightly more extended highlights on our YouTube channel.
How come this game was missing? And was it kind of always out there lurking? How did you find it, Dan?
So, thanks to a friend of the podcast, Matt Bruce, who runs the OUFC archive on YouTube, there are loads and loads of games from the past that are really easy to find. But some still don't exist, or if they do exist, they're not properly listed. And that was the case with this one. My technique, Matt, and I don't mind sharing it, is to I search for like season reviews from other clubs. So in this case, I searched for Nottingham Forest 1987-88. Now, I've searched for it before trying to find this game, and it's not come up. But this time, something caught my eye. It was labelled 1986-87, but someone had commented in it, it's got the next season too. So I dived in, and lo and behold, it was their 2 seasons worth of highlights. And right at the very end, because it was the last game of the season, in absolutely dreadful quality, there it was. An absolutely beautiful moment in my life, Matt.
I love this. I love the way that you have a technique as well. This is a fascinating insight into your life, Dan. It really is. But truly, what a fantastic video to find. Dan, given that kind of playing Nutmeg earlier this week has made us all kind of nostalgic for all things kind of 80s and 90s, what game or games from that era would you kind of most like to find the footage of that doesn't currently exist or isn't currently out there on YouTube?
It's a really good question, Matt. Now that I found our last game in the top division, I really want to find our first, Matt, and that was a 1-1 draw with West Brom. Bobby McDonald scored. West Brom had their classic stripy shirt with a no smoking sponsor on the front. I've never been able to find footage of that. And the other game I'd love to see is our 5-0 win over Leicester, which is our first win in the top division. That was at the Manor. They remain truly elusive. I'm not even convinced there was even cameras at the game, but if anyone knows where I could find them, please get in touch. Okay, Matt, we are nearly done. I set you a quiz. You will remember. So let's go through those answers then. Yes. So the first one I set you from 1975-76. I'm a local lad that turned 20 this season. I played 30 games, 6 as a substitute. I scored 6 goals. Matt, quite a well-known player. Who played as striker.
75-76. I mean, the age isn't helping me. But obviously a striker.
A local
6
lad?
goals. A local lad. That's what's in it. Is it Hugh Curran?
It is not Hugh Curran.
Who was it?
The answer is Peter Foley.
Oh, I should have got that.
Okay, should have got that. I thought you would get that one. Okay, 1985-86. Born in Aberdeen, I played 17 times, plus once as a sub. I scored 3 goals, although one of the goals was particularly significant. I have just mentioned something that is relevant to this question.
Have you? Well, I didn't pick up on that. So 85-86, 17 times. I'm thinking he signed during this season, and significant goal. I'm thinking Mill Cup final. Is it Ray Houghton?
You are incorrect, Matt. The correct answer is Bobby McDonald. Who scored our first goal in the top flight in that game I've just mentioned. Okay. 1995-96, born in Northampton. I played 16 times, plus 5 as a sub, and I scored a very healthy 9 goals. Who am I?
It's a very impressive ratio, isn't it? Now, I think it's Northampton bit, but also the impressive goals to game ratio. Is this Martin Aldridge?
Thank goodness you've got one right. Correct, Matt.
You.
Goodness me,
Yes,
it was getting awkward.
it was a bit.
Okay, 2005-2006 season. Born in Cowes, the place, not the animal. I played 23 games plus 6 as a sub, although my final appearance for the club, and this is the clue, was on the
Yeah.
7th of January 2006. I scored 5 goals. If you remember, we had a cull that season,
Yeah.
thinking we were safe. And he was
Yeah,
one of our better players.
At first I was thinking it was Steve Basham, but it's not. So I'm taking a stab, but was it Lee Bradbury?
Brilliant answer. The correct answer is Lee Bradbury.
Did I get that right?
Got another one right.
Oh,
Finally,
okay.
2015-16. I was born in Wolverhampton. I played 32 times plus 3 as a substitute. I scored 4 goals.
Oh,
He gets a mention indirectly in every podcast we've ever done. Indirectly. Or something he did gets mentioned.
that's not Ruth, is it?
It is
Because
not.
I thought Wolverhampton, but he scored more goals than that.
Scored 22 more goals than
Yeah.
that.
Oh, tell me.
Shay Dunkley
Oh,
is the correct
God.
answer. Okay, Matt, you did. What was that, 2 out of 5 or 6? Not bad. Any listeners did better, please tell us in the comments. Okay, Matt, let's preview the next couple of games. We've got a week off now, thank goodness.
Well, we've
but
got
then
a
we've
week off, but half of our squad are going to the Northern Ireland camp, so with a very big game. So I don't know. Yeah.
Tell us, Matt, Hull City when we get back on Good Friday. How are you
Well,
feeling?
I'm feeling very good about it, and we're going to win that one.
Love this positivity. I hope you're correct. Pompey away on Easter Monday.
Well, I always love a trip away to Pompey, so I've got my ticket for that one. And it is now looking like the proverbial 6-pointer. I think. I mean, they have to win it. Depending what happens against Hull, but let's consider the fact that we're going to beat Hull. I will take a draw for that. 4 points from those 2 games.
I hope you are correct. I think I'd settle for 4 as well. Thank you very much for your time today, Matt. Thank you, listeners, watchers, for staying with us. Please don't forget to watch out for our bonus episode on Thursday when we play Nutmeg, and you can watch us struggling with football management. So
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. We sign some good players.
Thanks ever so much, everyone, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.